Began with a KRDO investigation, one that reveals some eye-opening findings on police shootings in Colorado. Black and Hispanic Coloradans are at much greater risk of being shot by police than those who are white. That is according to state data from the last decade. KRDO News Channel 13 investigative reporter Chelsea Brentzel joins me in studio now to give more perspective on the numbers and what they mean. Chelsea?
Well, Heather, with police reform and race relations at the forefront, this is a difficult but no doubt important point of discussion. By digging into the state data on what leads up to these shootings, the race of those who were shot, and those that result in the arrest of people who were shot, we get more perspective on what's happening in Colorado. Protesters have spent weeks decrying the use of force by police, all with the central concern that communities of color have been a target. A January 2020 Colorado Department of Public Safety report on officer-involved shootings could help to further inform that discussion. After pouring through pages of state data and crunching the numbers of the 480 documented police shootings, KRDO found from 2010 to 2019, Black Coloradans were nearly 4 times as likely as white Coloradans to be shot at by police. Hispanic Coloradans' risk was almost twice as high as their white counterparts. Those statistics not surprising to some Colorado Springs advocates who are working with the city council on creating a police oversight board.
That statistic, it's alarming because, we live in Colorado. I know this is going to sound kind of morbid. I'm not surprised.
I think why we have such disproportionate numbers between the different races is purely just racism.
53% of Coloradans shot by police were white, but white people make up 67% of the population. That means minority populations make up a disproportionately large number of officer-involved shootings, even with those numbers.
There's been resistance to change. I don't want to see on my watch another travesty happen when we could have done something.
That's part of the thinking behind the state's new police accountability bill. The reform calls for even greater data collection on uses of force by police in Colorado. But already we have a vivid picture of the encounters in the past decade that have led to police firing their guns. More than over half of Colorado law enforcement shootings in the last 9 years started with a call for police assistance. The second most common event that led to police shootings were traffic stops. Pueblo Police Chief Troy Davenport doesn't dispute the statistics.
Shootings are terrible. And no matter what your background is, we try to avoid that as best we possibly can. But the only way that occurs for the most part is a person has a weapon. It could be a handgun, it could be the use of a vehicle or something else, and they put a police officer or a third party in fear of serious bodily injury or death.
But Chief Davenport believes the data is incomplete, and state numbers support his concern, as 73% of police agencies in the state did not submit information on officer-involved shootings. The State Department of Public Safety tells KRDO there are no penalties for not reporting, even though there are laws requiring them to do so. After the encounters, 87% of citizens who survived the shootings were charged with a crime. State records show the most common charges were murder, attempted murder, conspiracy, and assault. But the data also indicates of those shot by police, 11% of white Coloradans were not arrested. For Black Coloradans, that number is 10%. For Hispanic people, it's 8%. State records show 79% of people who were Black and shot by police had a gun, compared to 57% for people who were white and 56% of people who were Hispanic. Now, we want to be clear that we recognize that policing is a dangerous job, and often officers don't know what they're going to encounter when they respond to an incident. We also want to point out that 26 police officers were killed in the line of duty in the past decade here in Colorado. Chelsea Brentzel, KRDO News Channel 13.